You're live on The Pulse. A pleasure to have you with us tonight. I'm Kathy Musasana.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Critters. Thank you so much for joining us. More to come, of course, around the Public Protector, the President and Marikana. We start tonight with your headlines. President Cyril Ramaphosa refutes Arthur Fraser's claims that he defeated the ends of justice in connection with a robbery at his farm.
The trial of the men accused of killing Senzo Mewa will resume tomorrow after the Defence Council continued grilling Forensic Officer Sergeant Thabo Musia about the security of the chain of evidence.
The Office of the Chief Justice has confirmed its investigation into a text message by Ismail Abramjee in relation to Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane's rescission application will be completed in the next few weeks.
And Britons have turned out in their thousands on the summer's holiday weekend to celebrate the anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's 70 years on the throne.
Good evening. We start with President Cyril Ramaphosa's spokesperson Vincent Magwenya strongly denying former spy boss Arthur Fraser's allegations of criminal conduct against him.
Magwenya says that Fraser, as part of the security cluster at the time, had known about the robbery at his Limpopo farm but had done nothing. Earlier, Fraser issued a statement that claimed that in 2020, millions of US dollars were stolen and hidden at RAMAPHOSA's Phalaphala farm in Limpopo by criminals colluding with his domestic worker.
Fraser claims the president concealed the crime from police and paid the culprits for their silence. He's offered no evidence for his claims.
He did not break any law, none whatsoever. What's curious is the fact that Mr. Fraser used to be part of the security cluster. He had access to the president. He could still have access to the president even now as a former senior public servant. And he made no attempt to raise this matter directly with the president. Instead, he's gone some time after the incident to take the matter to the police and to the public domain, the motive of which remains quite unclear. It is curious as to why now. It is curious indeed as to why did Mr. Fraser not seek to approach the president directly. It will be interesting to hear how Mr. Fraser responds to those questions if he were to avail himself for interviews and engage openly on the matter. On our side, we can only await the formal approach from the South African Police Service and for the president to fully cooperate with that investigation.
Magwenya says the claims that have been made against Ramaphosa are baseless.
The president is clear. There is no basis for the claims of criminal conduct that have been made against him in Mr. Fraser's statement. However, as we've mentioned in our statement, we can confirm that a robbery took place at the president's farm in Limpopo on around the 9th of February in 2020, in which proceeds from the sale of game were stolen. The president was attending an African Union summit in Addis Ababa at the time the incident occurred.
The Office of the Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo, has confirmed that its investigation into a text message by Ismail Abramjee in relation to the Public Protector Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane's rescission application will be completed in the next few weeks. Let's take you live to Athi Mtongana, who is tracking that story for us tonight. Athi, this issue, of course, has been really the center of much controversy, and it draws us into very important conversations about the role of the judiciary and this idea that the judiciary may not be acting impartially. This, of course, raises all sorts of questions.
Yes, in fact, in the Public Protector's findings around investigating this particular SMS saga, she claims that someone from the Constitutional Court leaked information to Mr. Abramjee, who then obviously sent information to Parliament's legal counsel, saying that he had it on good authority that the rescission application of the Public Protector, which was pending at the time, would be declined, and subsequently subsequently we heard from the Constitutional Court how they had dismissed Public Protector Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane's rescission application. And so the Public Protector, her argument here is that that particular piece of information which was shared to Parliament's legal counsel, Mr. Breitenbach, is information that actually is in line with what ended up transpiring at the Constitutional Court, saying that that particular piece of information was confidential and that it was leaked to Mr. Ismail Abramjee. She has completed and closed her investigation into this particular matter, and she's handed her report to the Hawks for further investigation. She's also now currently consulting her legal team to also take up this matter with the Judicial Service Commission, where she'll obviously mention what she has actually found in these investigations, and that she's also including in that report to the Hawks how she's found evidence around some cell phone records that point to some form of what she says leakage of information, crucial information from the courts. However, Kathy, the statement now that has been issued by the Office of the Chief Justice confirming that their investigation into this matter is near completion. Remember, the Public Protector did her own investigation into the matter. The Chief Justice is also currently probing the matter, and he has confirmed today that his investigation into the matter is near completion. We're expecting the findings to be published in the next few weeks. But what we know then from the correspondence and just the investigations so far that are in the Office of the Chief Justice is that shortly after the SMS saga surfaced in the public domain, Justice Colopan then went to the Chief Justice and disclosed to the Chief Justice and other justices of the Constitutional Court that he actually knows Mr. Abramjee, and he has known him for many years, and that they live in the same area, and that they are both members of the Pretoria Legacy Foundation, which had organized an event in March. This event, we understand, was to honor Justice Colopan, and in attendance to that particular event, Kathy, was Justice Mlambo, who also disclosed before the Chief Justice and other justices of the Constitutional Court that he was also at that particular event. However, Justice Mlambo did mention to the Chief Justice that that was the first time that he actually met Mr. Abramjee. And so we know that in the conclusion of that statement that was issued today by the Chief Justice, both justices claimed before Chief Justice Raymond Zondo that they did not disclose any confidential information of any court findings to Mr. Abramjee, which is something, of course, that we know the Public Protector is currently arguing and is currently taking an issue with. So in the next few weeks, we're expecting the Chief Justice to tell us what he has found with his investigation into the SMS saga.
Right, investigation by the Chief Justice, an investigation by the JSC, and in all likelihood, an investigation then that will take place through the country's criminal justice system with the Hawks investigating. That's where we leave it with that story for now. Let's continue here. The 7-year-old legal battle between Marikana mine workers, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and Sibanye-Stillwater was back in court today. The matter was postponed following complaints by the miners' legal representative Andries Ngomu on the disclosure that Judge Lamont held shares in Sibanye. The mine workers are suing the government for almost 1 billion rand. Well, let's talk to that attorney who's representing the injured and arrested workers. Mr. Ngomu, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. Look, it's really incredible to see how long somebody like yourself has stood by those families of Marikana from the time that this case was still very much in its preliminary phases, and it's been more than 7 years now, and you're still fighting on in the courts.
Good evening, Kathy, and thanks for having me. This year marks 10 years after the Marikana massacre took place. It took place on the 16th of August, on a Thursday in 2012. Now, it's very sad that we've got to sit today and still be in court, especially with people of the caliber such as the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, for us to seek to have him unconditionally apologize for having caused the massacre that took place in Marikana back then.
Let's talk about then what you want the court to do in this instance.
There is 3 sets of remedies that we're essentially looking for from the president, together with lawmen. The first is that he must unconditionally apologize for having caused the atrocities that took place in Marikana. And the second is that he must participate in a reconciliatory program together with the victims of Marikana. The third one is that he must pay compensation towards each and every one of the people that were affected by the massacre. Essentially, it's people that we represent, which are the injured and arrested, and they are 328 people.
You say he must apologize for having caused the massacre. Of course,